Hello, this lecture will be devoted to the properties of state's territory. Geopolitical position is a characteristic that is used to describe the place of a state in the international system. Geopolitical position of a state is based on objective data on the territorial attributes. The size characterizes the state in terms of its area, population, and GDP. The shape characterizes the state in terms of its compactness, cohesion, and centrality. Neighborhood characterizes the state in terms of its neighboring states and relations with them, as well as the territorial depth. Continentality characterizes the state in terms of its access to the sea and its nature. Isolation characterizes the state in terms of its location on islands or archipelagos. Enclavity characterizes the state in terms of having only one neighboring state by land. Finally, exclavity characterizes the state in terms of having a part geographically separated from the mainland territory. Political geography has always been concerned with searching for the ideal shape of a state. Rudolf Challen, the founder of geopolitics, regarded the concentric form, be it a circle or a polygon, as the best shape possible. He saw France or Spain as the closest to perfection, with their natural borders in the form of sea or mountains serving as borders, and fertile plains located in the center. Such topological indicators of the territory shape as compactness, togetherness, and centrality are quite widely used in political geography nowadays. As regards compactness, the territory can be compact, Poland, Uruguay, Cambodia; elongated, Chile, Norway, Vietnam; or prorupted, Croatia, Myanmar, Thailand. To assess it, scholars compare the state area with certain geometric figures: the triangle of India and the Arab Emirates, the diamond of Algeria, the square of Kenya, and some others. As regards togetherness, the area can be enclosed, Canada and Mongolia; fragmented, the United Kingdom or Japan; or perforated, like Italy or South Africa. Fragmentation can stem from the country's location on the archipelago, like Indonesia, the Philippines; from internal barriers such as mountains in Peru, Kyrgyzstan, or Tajikistan; from straits or canals like Turkey, Panama; or the presence of exclaves, like in the US and in Russia. The presence of enclaves within the country gives rise to the perforated type. As regards centrality, the territorial nucleus can be located in the center, like Brasilia in Brazil, or off the center, like Moscow in Russia. In the latter case, the geometric center differs from the political center of the country. It's quite difficult to attribute some countries, the US or Germany, as one can hardly specify a single political center there. Landlockedness is a feature of complete absence of a sea coast. At an estimate, 1 of 4 countries around the world has no sea coast. The list is topped by Africa with its 16 landlocked countries. 2 countries, Uzbekistan and Liechtenstein, are double landlocked due to their immediate neighbors, all also landlocked themselves. That is more, Uzbekistan, like all its post-Soviet neighbors on the one hand and Armenia and Azerbaijan on the other, has no direct access to any of the world oceans. The main political reason for underperformance of landlocked countries is the nature of the political relationship between landlocked and transit countries. For example, during the War of the Pacific, Bolivia lost its access to the sea. It still hopes for revenge and keeps its naval forces, which, however, have had to sit on the banks on the Lake Titicaca for 150 years almost. The international community takes steps to address landlockedness. Apart from allowing inland countries to use their seaports, maritime states offer a lease of pieces of land along the sea for such countries to build new ports. Both the terms enclave and exclave are used to denote exceptional cases of the territoryship. Despite being acknowledged as two sides of the same coin, they in fact are very different. On the world political map, there are currently more than 250 enclaves and exclaves with roughly 3 million residents in them. The enclave is an entity totally surrounded by one foreign territory. There are different types of enclaves. The full enclave is a territory entirely landlocked within another state. Of the UN member states, 2 of them, Lesotho and San Marino, are full enclaves. The Nagorno-Karabakh Autonomous Oblast, part of the Azerbaijan Soviet Republic, was also a full enclave. The semi-enclave is a territory enclosed with the land territory of another state, yet in the possession of a sea coastline. For example, Monaco, Brunei, East Timor. It's interesting that Canada and the UK also will be semi-enclaves in this sense. On the contrary, the exclave is a part of one country's territory not attached to the rest of it, but surrounded by another country's. The classification is as follows. Full exclave is a landlocked territorial outlier completely surrounded by the foreign state. Azerbaijan exclave of the Nakhchivan Autonomous Republic borders Armenia, Turkey and Iran. The semi-exclave is a non-sovereign territory with sea access, which is separated from the mainland and surrounded by the foreign states. The Russian semi-exclave of Kaliningrad Oblast, sandwiched between Poland and Lithuania. Now let us move to the mixed forms of spatial organization. On those reconciling both the principle of enclavity and exclavity. They encompass the enclave-exclave, a part of the territory separated from the mainland and completely surrounded by another state's land. The Italian municipality of Campione d'Italia stands as one of the kind example of the true enclave and exclave nestling on the banks of Lake Lugano with no access to any of the world oceans. The semi-enclave-exclave is a part of the territory separated from the home state and encircled by the foreign state's territory, but in the possession of access to international waters, like the US state of Alaska in Canada and the Spanish cities of Ceuta, Melilla in Morocco. Whereas the analysis of the geopolitical positioning relies on the objective properties of the territory, the geopolitical code is determined by the subjective ideas of the population about the geographical position of the state. In other words, the geopolitical code is a major attribute of the state, which describes the country's orientation to the world and other objects with which it interacts. This notion is also used as a key characteristic to describe the state's global standing and the dynamics of its foreign policy. The code is a set of the population's strategic assumptions about other states which are taken into consideration while shaping the foreign policy. The geopolitical code thus relies on the answers to the following 5 questions. Who are our allies nowadays and who are our potential allies? Who are our enemies nowadays and who are our potential enemies? How can we preserve the existing alliances and attract potential alliance? How can we counter our enemies nowadays and prevent potential enemies from emerging? How can we clarify the answers to the 4 questions above to the population and the international community? The last question highlights the discursive and subjective character of the geopolitical code. Unlike the geopolitical positioning, Metaphorical representations of space constitute the cornerstone of the code. Thus, they can be viewed as the opposites. Take, for instance, Bolivia and South Korea. Being landlocked, Bolivia positions itself as a maritime state, while South Korea feels like an island state, even though it's located on the peninsula. Traditionally, the geopolitical code has two major variables, the scale and the orientation. The scale describes the local, regional, or global level of state interest and influence. The orientation describes which global center of gravity the state takes its cue from. Europe, America, Russia, the Asia-Pacific regions, or any other. The code is typified by constructability and complexity. The constructability of the code implies that it's even less predetermined than the geopolitical positioning. It's shaped by society, traditionally by elite and the media. Its variables are very flexible and easily adapt to the changing political agenda at home or the evolving foreign policy agenda. The complexity implies that various ideas about the state's geographical position coexist in society, and the evolution of the code reveals their competition. Look at this map. It's remarkable that northern states still tend to use the Mercator projection for school maps, which visibly increases their land area and reduces the area of the southern ones in relative terms. The Association of American Cartographers has long been campaigning for school maps with this Gall-Peters projection, which shows countries and continents more accurately. So you see how our perception of space can differ from the reality.